Stu Ben Trust Company, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Friday, Friday, Friday!
Good morning, American. It's Friday.
It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Oh, yes, it is time for Mornings at 8. It's about 5 minutes after 8 o'clock on a Friday morning. Finally Friday, the end of the week. Yippee. Well, it's, 33 degrees right now. It's kind of a mild morning. It really isn't all that bad. However, we might have some nasty weather coming toward the end of next week. So we'll find out about that. The power outage. That's right. We had another power outage yesterday in Almond. We had a 3.5-hour power outage on Monday. That was fun. And then we had a 4-hour power outage yesterday. So let me see, 3.5 and 4 makes 7.5 hours of power outages this week. It got a little chilly. It got just a little chilly in the house. Just a little bit. But hey, that's the way it goes. Yes, sir. Let me see here. Well, where can we start in here? Brian, on the website, there's a photo of that car, the alleged hit and run there in Dansville.
Yeah.
So they haven't found the party yet.
As far as I know, no.
Huh. Okay, very good. Well, you could check out the photo or video or something on our website there.
It's not a video; it's a photo.
It's just a photo. Okay. Anyway, there you go. So so they're looking for this car in Dansville. Okay, what's going on here? Well, the Canisteo Police Chief Kyle Amadon, he's announced that the Canisteo PD has received a check for $1,000 from the First Heritage Credit Union. And I think that's a really, really nice gesture. The donation will go into the account of the Canisteo Police Club, and it'll be used for various things such as new equipment and the newly acquired canine unit. They have a new canine down there. His name is Dex. And Amadon added that they have just received another grant called the Buddy Bag from the Vested Interest K9 program. This package comes with necessary medical equipment for Dex in case of any medical needs the dog might incur while performing his duties. And on top of that, the department received a separate grant that'll provide Dex with much-needed health insurance throughout his career with the Canisteo PD. So that's certainly a good thing there. Let me see. Oh, the Greenlight law. The law that will allow illegal immigrants to obtain driver's licenses, which a lot of people are seriously against. It goes into effect next week. Now, the Rensselaer County Clerk Frank Marola filed a federal lawsuit against New York State. He is definitely against this Greenlight law, and the U.S. Department of Justice is backing this lawsuit. He's questioning the constitutionality of New York's new Greenlight law. And the decision came, I believe, yesterday. So the U.S. Department of Justice is backing his lawsuit. If the state law, formerly known as the Driver's License Access and Privacy Act, does take effect, which will be on December 14th, Department of Motor Vehicle and county clerk offices would be prohibited, in most cases, from sharing private information about those who apply for licenses with immigration enforcement agencies. And the Rensselaer County Clerk initially filed a suit over the law last summer. And he named Governor Cuomo and Attorney General Letitia James and the DMV as defendants. Now, he's argued that the state law conflicts with federal statutes requiring such disclosure, placing him in a legally perilous spot. Advocates for undocumented immigrants, meanwhile, recognize that the new law would not achieve its goal of providing driver's licenses to members of that group if they face genuine danger that applying for one would place them in danger of arrest, detention, and deportation for being here illegally. Okay, anyway, in this memo of support filed with the U.S. District Court for the Northern District on Thursday, the Department of Justice argues the bar on data sharing violates federal law. There's a 15-page memo, And in that memo, it states the Act's disclosure restrictions are wide-reaching and appear aimed at frustrating the federal government's enforcement of the immigration laws. Though it acknowledges that a judge's order could force disclosure of the information in question. And the memo notes that the Supremacy Clause blocks states from taking actions that frustrate federal laws and regulatory schemes. In other words, the federal law would be supreme in this case, right? It kind of makes sense. I guess this is the United States and there's the U.S. government. Okay, so he also filed a request for a preliminary injunction in early November. And he said in an interview that he thinks the memo breathes new life into his legal challenge. He says it's a game changer that they're joining us. And he believes the memo, first reported by the New York Law Journal, could make it more likely for the court to keep the law from going into effect next week. And we've had a number of lawmakers on the Newsmaker program who are very much against this Greenlight law. So he filed suit, and apparently, I don't know, it may possibly it'll be blocked. And in a statement, Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin called the mere filing of the Justice Department's memo a major victory for Rensselaer County and their efforts to protect the Constitution and the rule of law. So this has been a real serious topic for a number of months now, and we'll see if that thing actually does take effect. But maybe, because of this lawsuit filed by the Rensselaer County Clerk, maybe it won't. Who knows? And then you ask yourself, is it okay for someone who is here illegally in the first place to obtain a driver's license? I mean, a driver's license opens up all kinds of possibilities. I mean, it's pretty solid ID, but you're here illegally. So I'm not quite sure about that, but we'll see. Okay, what else have we here from the state level here? New York State is facing a deficit of $6 billion. And the Speaker of the State Assembly said it might be time to impose new taxes on the rich. That's right. They have money. Go and tax them even more than you already do. Fine. A multi-billion-dollar gap in the Medicaid budget is contributing to the state's deficit. And Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie said he knows it's going to be a tough budget year. For us in the Assembly, he said, we would always rather raise revenue than cut. We think that New York has some very generous people. And I'm saying that facetiously, he said, that we could always like to call on them to do more in that regard. The Speaker said it's a better choice than cutting health care or denying health care to New Yorkers. And opponents of opposing new taxes on the wealthy, including at times, believe it or not, Governor Cuomo, say it could cause rich people to leave the state. And I might add, take some jobs with them, right? Okay, now Heastie did not give any details, and he said he has not yet talked about the new law of taxes with the governor or with Democrats who lead the Senate, but he says those discussions will take place over the next few weeks. And the legislative session, the new one starts in January. It's next month. So we'll see how that goes. But I kind of wonder, and I have for a long time, why a lot of people feel it's necessary to just stick it to people who have succeeded. Unless you inherited your money, you probably worked for it. So why would we, this really is a big topic. Why do you punish people who have succeeded? I don't understand that. If you do a good job, if you excel, if you have ambition, why should you be punished? I really don't understand that. So why he would want to tax rich people? Rich is kind of a relative term, I would think. But why put it to people who have money? I don't understand that. You work your entire life. Maybe you start a business, okay? And you worked really, really hard. And then you're penalized for it. So success and ambition are penalized. And I think that's totally backwards. I mean, that is totally... Anyway, so that's what he says, and we'll see how that goes, too. Well, weather. We are expecting some pretty nasty weather, at least according to USA Today, which I have here in front of me, story. There is going to be another Arctic blast is on the way next week. And that's going to bring bitterly cold temperatures to portions of the central U.S. And as the cold air arrives, temperatures are forecast to plummet by 30 degrees from one day to the next over several states in the Great Lakes area and the Southern Plains. Let me see. Highs, according to the National Weather Service, might be below zero. A high of below zero. Not all, it's happened here in the past. Anyway, highs below zeros and lows around 20 degrees below zero are possible across the northern portions of the region. And as that weather moves east, as the frigid air blasts across the unfrozen and mild waters of the Great Lakes, bands of heavy lake effect snow and snow squalls are likely to develop, AccuWeather said. States such as Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York could see the most snow. So we'll see how that goes. That should be starting at sometime maybe around Wednesday or so, at least here. So we'll see what happens there. And what else have we here? This is a mixed bag. Boy, okay. The Supreme Court of the United States is going to confront the homeless crisis and whether there's a right to sleep on the sidewalk. This is from the Los Angeles Times. The Supreme Court meets this morning to consider for the first time whether the Constitution gives homeless people a right to sleep on the sidewalk. Is that an inherent human right or not? I don't know. They're going to take up this question. The justices are weighing an appeal of a much-disputed ruling by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that held last year that it was cruel and unusual punishment to enforce criminal laws against homeless people who are living on the street if a city doesn't offer enough shelters as an alternative. The appeals court's opinion quoted Anatole France. French author, novelist, really brilliant guy. Anyway, Anatole France's famous comment that the law, in all its majestic equality, forbids the rich and poor alike to sleep under bridges. And from there, it announced the principle of human rights to strike down city laws that, quote, criminalize the simple act of sleeping outside on public property. Anatole France. Brian, last week I quoted Anatole France. And he said, one of my favorite quotes of all times, is he said, if 50 million people say a foolish thing, it is still a foolish thing. That was Anatole France. I just thought of that. Anyway, so they quoted Anatole France. Where was I? I kind of lost track of that. As precedent, Judge Marcia Berzon cited parts of a 1968 Supreme Court opinion in which several justices questioned whether chronic alcoholics may be punished for being drunk in public if they cannot control themselves. And this principle compels the conclusion that the Eighth Amendment prohibits the imposition of criminal penalties for sitting, sleeping, or lying outside on public property for homeless individuals who cannot obtain shelter. So, maybe not here, but in California, the homeless crisis is just massive. Tens of thousands of people living on the sidewalks outside in Los Angeles and the Bay Area. And Oakland, Santa Barbara, it's terrible. I mean, it's just really, really bad there. So where was this? That's right. The appeals court's ruling struck down a city ordinance in Boise, Idaho. They even have a homeless problem in Boise, Idaho, that made it a misdemeanor to camp or sleep on sidewalks, parks, or other places without permission. Such ordinances are common in many other cities and towns, and the case began 10 years ago when Robert Martin and 5 other homeless individuals joined a suit after they were given fines of $25 to $75 for violating Boise's anti-camping ordinance. Do we have Rob Carolyn on the line?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. I kind of thought we did. I'm looking at it. Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jonathan. How are you?
Very good. Now, you mentioned earlier this week that you guys have gotten a lot of snow up there.
Yes, about 20 to 25 inches in parts of southern New Hampshire, northern Massachusetts. I think the highest I saw from the storm was Greenville, New Hampshire. They picked up about 29 inches of snow. It also produced some very heavy snow, Jonathan, in the Catskills and on up west of Albany. There were some places that had between 20 and 25 inches of snow. The good news is we don't have that type of forecast anywhere in central or western New York. In fact, a milder pattern is going to be developing across the region as we head through the next several days. We'll see a cool down this weekend and then significantly warmer weather for early next week. We do have a little disturbance moving through this morning. It's producing some very light snow. Any accumulations around the southern tier today should be at less than an inch. Temperatures are 35 to 40. Sunrise this morning was at 7:25. It'll set tonight at 4:38. Now for tonight, the snow should taper off during the evening as a few flurries were 20 to 25. Tomorrow, mixture of clouds and sunshine close to 30. Partly cloudy, 15 to 20 tomorrow night. Jonathan, the outlook for Sunday, increasingly cloudy, 40 to 45. Looks like it should be a good day for the Ravens-Bills game up in Buffalo. And then we've got rain in the forecast for Monday and into Tuesday with temperatures possibly in the 50s.
Wow. Now, I had a story. Wow. Actually, it sounds really good, but I had a story from USA Today this morning where they're talking about some massive cold front moving into the upper Midwest next week.
Yes, it's going to follow in the wake of a storm system that's headed into the Pacific Northwest this morning. That storm system is actually going to help pull Arctic air down out of Canada, and it's going to affect much of the country, particularly to the west of us, from about Tuesday next week right through Friday.
Oh well. Well, you can't have everything, hey.
No, it's December. It's going to happen.
That's right. This is Western New York, too. Thanks, Rob. I'll see you next week.
You got it, sir.
Okay, bye.
Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. Here's Eddie Garcia.
In the NFL, on Thursday Night Football in Chicago, the Bears handled the Cowboys 31-24. The game really wasn't as close as the score would indicate. Dallas did put 10 points on the board very late to make it look a little respectable, but Chicago was in control throughout, led by quarterback Mitchell Trubisky, who accounted for 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, and 1 rushing. For Dallas, they dropped to 6-7 on the season. They've lost 3 in a row, but still lead the NFC East by 1 game on Philadelphia, and despite that losing record, they're slated as it stands right now to host a playoff game. For Chicago, they improved to 7-6 and moved 1 game back of Minnesota for the final wildcard spot in the NFC, and those 2 teams play each other in the final week of the regular season. In the NBA, the Rockets beat the Raptors in Toronto 119-109. Wizards take care of the 76ers 119-113. Nuggets knock off the Knicks 129-92, and the Suns outscored the Pelicans 139-132 in overtime.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures on Wall Street up slightly ahead of the monthly jobs report coming out this morning.
The estimates are 180,000 jobs added for the month of November, with the unemployment rate expected at 3.6%. No change there.
Fox's Cheryl Casoni, Asian markets finishing higher, European ones also in the green. Meanwhile, a possible thaw in the U.S.-China trade war as Beijing says it could waive tariffs on some U.S. soybeans and pork shipments. And some 44 million Americans could have password security problems, according to a Microsoft threat research team, which scanned all Microsoft user accounts and found that 44 million people were reusing usernames and passwords that had leaked online following security breaches at other online services. The scan took place between January and March 2019. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
Grinches are real, and they're out to steal your happy holidays. I'm talking about cybercriminals. And this season of shopping online, browsing, booking travel, and connecting to Wi-Fi can leave you exposed. But there's a new holiday hero. Norton 360 with Lifelock is an all-in-one membership with device security, identity theft protection, and a VPN. No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime, but cyber Grinches don't have to spoil your holiday. Until December 8th, get a special radio discount of up to 40% off your first year at norton.com/news.
The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. The Ryan Agency is not beholden to any one insurance company. They work with many companies, offering unbiased insurance advice. Their interest is seeking your best interest. Contact the Ryan Agencies, good people offering unbiased advice, seeking your best interest.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
To Today at the Simmons Rockwell Nissan stores in Horseheads and Hornell, you'll find new 2019 Nissan Sentra SV models with alloy wheels, cruise control, and Bluetooth for only $15,999, or new 2019 Nissan Titan S Crew Cab 4x4s with a 5.6-liter V8, rear view monitor, power windows, and cruise, now only $32,499. See the savings online at simmons-rockwell.com.
And here we are. We are back. I love. Have I said this in the past? I love Christmas. I just do. It's the absolutely best time of year. I cannot get enough of it. And I think that Christmas brings out the best in humanity and the best art. The best art, the best music. It's absolutely wonderful. And I found this. Where did I find this story? Reader's Digest, believe it or not. The oldest Christmas carol. The oldest Christmas carol is a lot older than you'd think. Boy, yes, sir, you always learn something. Christians have been celebrating Christmas since at least 336 A.D. 336. And that's when the church first recognized December 25th as Christmas Day. But Hark the Herald Angels Sing came up more than 1,300 years later in 1739. Joseph Moore wrote Delivers to a Silent Night in 1818, and Away in a Manger was written even later in 1882. But what did people sing before these came along? Well, the first musical composition ever to be associated with the Christmas holiday was likely Angel's Hymn. And that's a piece dating back all the way to 129 A.D. 129 A.D. According to the New Daily, a Roman bishop proclaimed that people should sing the song in the night of the Nativity of our Lord and Savior. The song is so old that historians aren't sure what it sounded like. What kind of instruments did they have back then? Who knows? But the New Daily reports that its singing was a solemn affair. That theme continued after the church officially recognized December 25th as Christmas in A.D. 336, as I said just a minute ago. Back then, the Christians marked the holiday by singing hymns, not carols. Hymns are more solemn, religious songs, while carols were considered dances accompanied by music. The earliest of these 4th century hymns was likely... I don't speak Latin. In English, it's Jesus, Light of All the Nations, written by St. Hilary of Poitiers in the 4th century. Another early Christian hymn is, again, it's in Latin, but in English, it's Of the Father's Love Begotten. Christian poet Prudentius wrote the Latin poem that inspired the song in the 4th century as well, but it wasn't set to music until centuries later. So you won't hear either of these early carols on the radio. But both are still sung at religious services around Christmas. And as far as more familiar Christmas carols, those still don't appear for centuries. The Friendly Beasts, that's a carol about the animals present at the Nativity, probably originated in France in the 12th century. Fast forward 500 years, and the world got Adeste Fidelis. It was translated into English as O Come All Ye Faithful in 1841. And then came God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen around 1760. So Christmas music and Christmas songs date back a really long time. I'll be darned. A.D. 129. Angel's Hymn. Man, I think that's really amazing. That's fascinating. Okay, what else here? Talking about fascinating. You gotta love technology. But the Ford Motor Company and McDonald's have teamed up to make car parts out of coffee. Out of coffee. The automaker has teamed up with McDonald's to use the dried coffee bean skins, it's called chaff, that's typically discarded as waste during the roasting process, to create car parts that are lighter and stronger than the ones they replace. Ford senior materials research scientist Debbie Mizlewski said that chaff is blended with polypropylene and replaces talc in the plastic, leading to a 20% reduction in weight, along with eliminating the need for the mined mineral. It was developed in partnership with competitor green technologies. The material is also stronger at high temperatures and can maintain its integrity compared to a lower temperature for the talc-based polymer. Its first production application will be in headlight housings, and that'll start in 2020. And Mysluski says there are millions of pounds of the chaff available annually, and that the plastic will soon be expanded to additional vehicles. So you're making plastic out of coffee bean chaff. It's an amazing world out there. Absolutely amazing. Well, that's it for this morning show, and I will see you Monday at 8:05. Bye.